It's definitely going to come down to a case of execution in team fights, and this can be a very back and forth game depending on how these early fights turn out.
Alrighty, well, let's rock and roll. Both of these teams winless thus far. 0-4 versus 0-4. Both of them really want to get this last win, especially for Isurus Gaming, playing in front of the home crowd. You know you're exiting after this stage of Worlds. You would love to do it on a high note.
Especially as over the course of the weekend, or even the week, sorry, we've had the parents of some of the players in the crowd, like being able to finally give that victory to the home crowd would mean so much for this squad, but even for the TCL representatives as well, right? A lot of pride on the line, especially for someone like HolyPhoenix. 6 TCL titles, an MSI appearance, the World's appearances as well. He's been someone who's been very prominent in the TCL space. We'll have to see if he can try and carry this game, or at least provide that extra little bit of pizzazz on this Nilah kid.
Exactly. Show us some style. Show us some of those moves. We haven't really got to see a lot of this champion. I mean, people always meme about how new champions are overpowered, they're overloaded, they take over the game when they're released. For some champions like Serin, it's like, yeah, you gotta beat her to death with the Nerf bat to get her out of the game. But Nilah hasn't had the same spotlight. She hasn't had the same ability to steal the show. So I'm always sort of excited to see somebody try and show us how it's done.
Yeah, the reason we haven't tend to see, well, it depends on the region, right? Like, at least in LPL, the reason we don't see a lot of Nilah is because she tends to die a lot in lane. And I don't mean in the 2v2. What I mean from that is oftentimes you end up with just 4-man dives because she gets shoved underneath the tower, and that makes it really difficult to try and play her. This time around, though, because Serin had already got the Viktor and he knew he was into the Sylas, he should have wave push. It'll make it very difficult for Isurus to try and go for these bot lane dives. So HolyPhoenix and Farfetch get a little bit more time to scale up, get to a position where they're comfortable. And one of the big underutilized things as well, or at least under talked about things with the Nilah, is that you tend to hit level 6 with both the AD carry and the support for something like the Rift Herald fight, which could be so impactful when we talk about the back and forth nature of these squads.
Also, a lot of extra combat power for the side of Wildcats in the bottom lane summoner spells. Exhaust versus Cleanse, there on the AD carries. And then obviously being Yuumi, you get an extra combat summoner spell anyway. So, good stuff there, as looks like we're going to get Isurus invading nice and early here. No handshake, same side, or same buff, opposite side starts here. Instead, gonna steal away that red, get things moving and shaking nice and early.
This is spotted, though, by Istanbul Wildcats, right? They actually placed the ward in that Tribe Rush, so information for Ferret means he can more than likely move over to the opposite side and try and answer back. I mean, even then the second ward here, so they are well aware of what Isurus are up to here and what Grell is trying to achieve.
They know exactly how long Grell is staying for, as Jelly and Gavotto going to back up a little bit here in bottom. It's Seiya first to level 2 in mid lane on that Sylas. Grell will just walk back into his own side of the jungle now, does not want to overstay his welcome. Of course, Ferret on the Maokai, not the fastest clear ever, so still clearing through that second buff of his own. And now he'll move towards the enemy jungle, trying to steal a red back, perhaps.
Yeah, sometimes you'd look at Grell and go, oh, you know, you can move in towards this top side, try and catch at the Maokai as he moves in, but because you've got full push for StarScreen, and Serin is also doing a really good job of setting up a bit of a wave stack here for himself as well, there's no one who can really immediately move over to try and deal with Ferret, so should be able to get this without any sort of issues. And again, we'll just get this split map coming through, which would favor StarScreen, but might make it a little bit tough for HolyPhoenix and Farfetch.
And I love this ward from Isurus. This ward that let him know that Ferret was coming in there. Seiya's gonna jump back in onto Serin now. Ferret is first here, but Grell is also ready to go. W over the wall. He'll jump in and find Serin. One more hit will take him out. It's first blood over to the home team.
You see there, Serin tries to move over to help out Ferret, but with Grell able to sneak in over the wall, does a really good job to turn that one back around. So nicely done by the hometown heroes.
Very, very good stuff there to get on the board. Again, I'm complimenting that ward. I'm complimenting them being ready to know what Ferret's going to want to do. And it's not like Ferret could just turn that into a mid lane gank either, because your mid laner is Viktor. What's he going to do? I mean, yeah, sure, dude, I'll shoot him with a laser. But it turns around the other way beautifully. Grell utilizing the power of Wokong to hop over the wall and surprise him. And hey, it's a good start for Isurus.
And that's where I want to see Isurus try and continue through this mid-jungle, so Ferret wants to move top to get away from that.
Alrighty, ADD will try to just back it up here a little bit. Ferret just utilizing the power of Maokai CC to force that flash away from the enemy top laner, so ADD is going to hurt a little bit after that one. Still has about half health left, still has a potion being drunk. All right.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Serin steps up. Serin is in for a world of hurt. He has no flash. Serin? Oh, nobody. Okay.
I was like, oh my, that's a lot of Isurus members around here. But again, I like this, right? We talked about how Seiya was going to struggle to get push in mid because of the nature of the matchup. Well, if Grell and Seiya just play through the fact they have a much stronger 2v2 in these early stages, well, then you can actually get that control for Sylas that you need. Start to bring that attention down towards the bot side and make things incredibly uncomfortable for HolyPhoenix and Farfetch. And overall, like Grell and Seiya, not even just in this game, across all of play-ins, have been so incredibly good. They have been the standout performance from Isurus, and we're seeing it once more here against Istanbul Wildcats.
All right, Seiya tries to just jump forward a little bit, always just keeping Serin guessing. Is he going to go in? Is he going to jump on me, right? Always posing that sort of a threat here. As bottom side, Gavotto and Jelly, they're doing just fine up against the Nilah. Not really a whole lot to talk about in that matchup. StarScreen takes a lot of damage from ADD, but now he knows the Aatrox has no cooldowns, and his Gnar bar is charging, so he'll run him off there with a couple of extra auto attacks. Honestly, though, just the one kill here at the very start. Nothing super bloody, nothing super crazy. You can see StarScreen leading in the EXP, but funny enough, HolyPhoenix and Farfetch, this is that leveling advantage that you were talking about that they have over their counterparts because of Nilah.
Yeah, and this is where it becomes super good for things like Rift Herald when you want to fight, because traditionally you won't actually see the supports getting that level 6 before the Rift Herald fight, but Nilah will offer that. I was actually keeping my eyes on this top side though, because StarScreen definitely needs help crashing this wave, especially if the Wukong for Grell wanted to go towards that top side, but looks like they're not going to go towards it just yet, so
nope.
StarScreen will be able to crash this wave, but that was a bit of a dangerous moment there for StarScreen after taking that poor trade.
I guess it's just one of those ones where you cross your fingers and say, I hope he ain't there.
That's the shy. That's what he does.
It doesn't like, all right, you better not be here or I'm screwed. But hey, it works out well for him. Seiya's going to try to crash the wave here in the mid lane at the same time. Gavotto and Jelly making their way back down towards bottom here as they just fire off that plasma to grab themselves an extra little minion. Want to stay caught up. They're bringing Grell down here, but he has no ulti, so I wouldn't expect a full-on tower dive or anything like that. Grell will just be hanging around. Seiya, though, now if you bring 4, then you can do something. But instead, they're just going to start up the Drake and let Grell take that one.
Yeah, I mean, using the fact that you get pushed for Gavotto and Jelly here to get the dragon is nice. Seiya will just be a bit of a nuisance in the mid lane, but overall, you're not really going to be able to set up for too much of a dive when you don't know where Ferret is, and you definitely don't want to get caught underneath that tower against someone like a Maokai. So, using the fact they've got these early leads, dragon taken, Isurus playing a nice early game out here.
Yep, Isurus Gaming having an all right start, but still nothing too super worrying for the Wildcats, right? The game could still go the other way. They had that one play early in the mid lane. They got the Drake. It's nice, but it's you're not sweating just yet.
That's what I was going to say. There was either two ways that this game was going to go. It was going to be, you know, gloves are off, all fisticuffs, just brawling back and forth, or it's a, hey, there's a lot riding on this, which there definitely is for both these teams and the pride of the region. So you can see them taking this nice and slow, making sure that they're going to get their, well, dot their I's, cross their T's, not allow the enemy any sort of input where they don't want it to be. And right now it is Isurus that's dictating the pace of this. I just think that Grell, now that he's hit that level 6, will get a little bit more active on the map. Wukong having access to that Cyclone is such a massive step up for his damage output. And when you already kind of look at Serin, who's calling a lot of help, but...
Nah, we're good. We're good. It's always a little bit worrying when you see Gnar's health bar go that low, but then you remember, nah, he's fine. I'm just going to kite him out anyway. He's okay, but I agree with you, my friend. I want to see some helicopter monkey action here out of the Wukong if he can find an angle, but HolyPhoenix will rotate himself up through the river right now. HolyPhoenix, that's a dangerous spot to walk with. All right, he's not going to walk in there.
This is the advantage we're talking about, though, right? Jelly's still level 5, you got level 6 hit for Farfetch, and that's why Istanbul Wildcats are calling all reinforcements to this Rift Herald. They want to make the fight happen. Jelly won't hit 6 just yet, and that could be the difference maker here for Istanbul Wildcats.
Alrighty, where's my team fight? 5v5, 8.5 minutes into the game. Isurus going into the Rift Herald pit here, as the Maokai ulti stolen away, fired off by the Sylas. It's going to hold him at bay long enough, you would think, but now the real Maokai ult comes back. Maokai ult versus Maokai ult. Maokai combat. There we go. They stole away the Rift Herald. Wildcats are happy with that, but now they might lose Ferret. Yuumi ulti fires off. They're ready to go back in. It's Jelly dying first, and now they got to strike back. 1 for 1 so far, as Grell tries to get away, and ADD is in the middle of the fight, in the middle of everybody. Serin flashes over the wall, but Grell is ready and waiting. StarScreen tries to escape, but ADD has wings spread wide. Gavotto's ready to chase. It's 3 dead on the side of Wildcats. Ferret has already respawned. Isurus takes the fight.
Istanbul Wildcats do get the Herald, though, at the back of that, so at least they will manage to escape away, but a bit of a messy fight. StarScreen didn't have access to the Gnar ultimate off rip, so they end up using a lot of time trying to get that Gnar to a position where he can transform. And here, I actually thought this was going to be a big win. Look at HolyPhoenix in this fight where he's able to get this ultimate off of the two members, and maybe that could have set up for a bit of damage, but unfortunately just not quite enough in the tank. Good engage coming through from the Rell as well for Jelly to start this one off. That's the ultimate from HolyPhoenix I thought could have been the difference maker, but Grell flashes away, Seiya just about gets out, and Gavotto, untouched this whole time, is just going nuts on the Istanbul Wildcats.
And you can see StarScreen and HolyPhoenix, they're like, okay, we got health bars, but you don't got anybody left. It's just time to get on out of there. Not the most intensive reactions, but now let's see what bottom lane might turn into. Jelly still only level 5 here on the Rell. Like you said right before that fight, that could be a big difference maker.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all. Not even a little bit. They still end up taking the fight. So I think at least for Isurus, right, having 2 kills now onto Grell means that they can actually play very much through the team fight, right? Grell has just hit the Divine Sunder. We're going to have our Mastercard Mythic in a second. You've got Gavotto as well, who's got 2 kills too. Like, this is actually a really good spot now for Isurus, especially if you want to play around this dragon in a minute's time. Like, first Mythics coming through is going to be massive for this next scrap.
Big stuff when the item spikes come online. The Sunderer that you pointed out, I really want to see Aatrox hit that Eclipse. We know how much of a power spike that is to the item, the champion. In combination, it's just a little bit silly. But we do still have slightly over a 1,000 gold lead for the side of Isurus. Wildcats are still looking for their chance to jump back in here. Total gold showing us that it's Gavotto, the biggest winner of the early game so far, sitting at nearly 4,300. Grell's the one right behind him. The jungler outpacing both mid laners in terms of gold because he got those kills in his pocket.
And you can see as well, we were talking about the preference here for HolyPhoenix going towards the Eclipse as well. So going to be trying to dish out a little bit more of that lethality damage, but does mean he doesn't have that as much safety when he goes into these fights, because the Immortal Shield, Bow Shield, significantly larger, but at least the Eclipse can dish out a little bit more at these early stages of the game. So we'll have to see if HolyPhoenix is going to be able to have that big impact with the Eclipse, but especially when Gavotto and Grell are in good spots. Looks like they might want to try and make a play on bot side, but kind of second-guessing themselves.
Yeah, they're bringing the party down with the Drake about to spawn and the wave crashing into the turret. They were looking for a potential punish on the Wildcats, but it is a 4v4, potentially, if the Viktor wants to rotate around as well. He's not going to show up just yet. Both top laners will have teleports available here in just a moment, but Grell has already found his way onto Ferret. There comes Jelly. There's your backup. There's an easy kill, Ferret. Oh, that feels bad.
That is definitely, it feels bad. And the fact as well that Seiya manages to zone Serin away from getting into the fight as well means that again they just get to turn over towards this dragon, and Isurus doing a really good job in setting up for these fights early and getting the leads that they need. I mean, Isurus, the LLA crowd is definitely behind them, and you can see it.
You love to hear it. You love to see it. The hometown teams are always going to have that extra bit of heart behind them there in the audience. Grell picks up that second Drake of the game, so now, my friend, it's a 2,000 gold lead. It's a 2 Drake lead, with one of those being Hex Tech, which is super valuable with the 9 attack speed, 9 ability haste. This lead feels really good for them. If they can get the next Herald when it spawns, I think they're going to be in a really good spot. Jelly having a flash away here from HolyPhoenix, and Farfetch using the Yuumi ulti trying to catch him. That first Herald is summoned up here in the mid lane. Wildcats really want to get the value out of this, at least just the guaranteed 2 plates of the charge. Wham bam, there it is. Won't get a whole lot more out of it, but they had to make sure they escorted it in there.
Yeah, all hands on deck from Istanbul Wildcats to try and get one to crash in, but Isurus don't actually take too much of a loss off it. Yes, you get the plates, but again, so many members of Istanbul Wildcats there don't actually end up in a position where you can try and buffer someone ahead or give someone a big buff off of that. So Istanbul Wildcats still going to just reset, come back onto the map, and for Isurus, with the gold lead that they have, with the fact that they're kind of in control at the moment, and you even just have the more traditional, easy to execute front-to-back fight, I mean, Isurus are looking pretty good at the moment.
Isurus, you can see Seiya also dropping the Maokai ulti there in the mid lane just to get that shoved out, get his own reset. Everfrost done for the Sylas makes him very, very scary when he jumps all in because he can engage with the E2, immediately follow up with the Everfrost. You're guaranteed to hit both parts of the Q. It becomes very nasty very quickly when champions that already have hard CC purchase this item and can just make the chain CC themselves.
This is why I immediately swapped to a Sylas one trick when Enchanters came into support meta, because I was like, I'm not an Enchanter player, I can't do this. So I was like, cool, you know who looks fun? Sylas, because exactly that reason. He does so much so well. Great engage, great setup, you know, so difficult to deal with, good scaling. Like, there's a very good reason why he has become such a staple in the mid lane, especially when you're able to play through a 2v2 like Grell and Seiya have been doing. It gives you so much control, and Isurus once more playing off that. You just got Grell hovering around mid, goes, yeah, Seiya,
yep.
If they ever come at you, I'm right there beside you, buddy. And then they can turn that into Rift Herald number 2.
Alrighty, Herald number 2. I said I wanted to see them be able to secure this one to balloon the lead, and it looks like they got the same plan. Seiya stealing away the Gnar ulti. I really like this choice, but everybody is marching up from the bottom lane. It will be Wildcats who get more men here first. They're still waiting on Jelly to come up from bottom lane on the side of Isurus. They've got Gavotto right next to him as well. Fires off the Void Seeker. Not going to hit anybody with that one. But Istanbul Wildcats will successfully stop the Herald take for now.
Isurus are incredibly split, though. You've got Gavotto and Jelly on one side, and you've got the rest of Isurus on the other. So Seiya needs to find some way to get a big Gnar ult off and buy space for Gavotto to get to the other side of the fight. Because you can see, right, Istanbul Wildcat just putting a wedge right down the middle and pushing Isurus away.
Alrighty, Isurus are not ones to be scared off that easily. They're ready to go again. Grell jumps in, finds the knock-up on multiple targets. StarScreen not ready to transform just yet, but HolyPhoenix is ready to fight back, and Jelly's gonna be killed off first. Grell's taken low. HolyPhoenix still trying to fight it out. StarScreen still somehow alive as Serin falls to Seiya, and Seiya tries to keep himself going. He won't burn away quite yet, but he finally dies there at the very end. The fight goes to the Wildcats.
It's been so incredibly close, but just Istanbul Wildcats are able to eke it out. It looks so good for Isurus at the start, but Istanbul Wildcats able to clutch it out at the end. Ferret, though.
Oh, Ferret, you gotta be careful about these, buddy. That was close. Still ends up being a 3 for 2 in the favor of the Wildcats. They'll bring themselves up to just about a 1,000 gold deficit with a minute to go before the Drake spawns.
And that's the thing, right? It kind of feels like for Isurus now, it's like, okay, we've got both the Rift Herald and the Dragon positioning that we can play for. Whereas for Istanbul Wildcats, you kind of need to focus the Dragon just because of how important a third Infernal Dragon would be for Isurus. So I have to see how they want to play this one out. But looking at the start of this, like again, Istanbul Wildcats kind of give up their positioning here, where Isurus then feel like they can engage. Grell goes over, but Gavotto not really in a position to follow up. You've got all 5 members of Istanbul Wildcats here. I thought with HolyPhoenix missing out on the ultimate thanks to a great ultimate from Jelly, pulling him back from Gavotto might have been enough, but StarScreen ends up transforming at the right time. HolyPhoenix doesn't end up going down thanks to heals from the Yuumi, and Isurus end up so overextended trying to finish off low health members that they kind of forget about the rest of the fight, where StarScreen and Ferret are finishing off members themselves.
Nicely done, very scrappy. That's what I like to see, man. That's what I want to see when we have these two teams coming in here in a pride match, right? You're fighting for your honor. You gotta get in there and scrap with it.
But now you gotta scrap again. 5
Let's
seconds till Inferno. Look at the summoner spells that are missing across the board. If you get caught, you are done. There are no second chances. I'm gonna have to see who can try and come out on top. Ultimates are up galore, and it's Istanbul Wildcats are on the fight already.
All right, Wildcats starting up the Drake. Jelly wants to go in. He tries to find Serin, but now he's found himself isolated. Jelly's alone in the middle of the enemy team. He's already down. This was a mess from Isurus, but ADD is going to try to get something back. The World Ender keeps him alive for a little bit more. He tries to get away from the Chaos Storm. StarScreen now alone as Seiya and Grell try to catch up to the enemy top laner. Grell still looks for it, gets the kill. That'll be one dead on the side of the Wildcats. They're still ready to fight back for Isurus. HolyPhoenix getting jumped on, but Seiya's getting chain CC'd. He can't fight his way out, and the Wildcats win another fight. They aren't done yet. Gavotto trying to get himself away, but HolyPhoenix is ready to go on the chase. Isurus are collapsing in these bigger team fights.
Gavotto was in mid lane. He was trying to push in the wave, so he wasn't there for the turnaround from Grell. Grell wasn't expecting to run into the tree either as he tried to escape, so bit of a bedlam situation for Isurus, and that will give Istanbul Wildcats the step that they need to get the dragon. Rift Herald will be taken by Grell in response, but still, that's 2 fights in a row now. Istanbul Wildcats have come out on top.
Jelly's engaged there. Like, yeah, I feel like he got solo queue engaged syndrome. He sees the angle, he's like, I'm gonna get this dude. But then you're alone.
Yeah.
And that dude has friends.
You scream, I've got the mid laner, and then turn to see that there is nobody who's with you. I mean, even from the position that they're in, right? Like, Gavotto is not really in a position, Seiya can't really follow up. I think he may have thought ADD was a little bit closer, but just unfortunate. And to be honest, Jelly's actually been really good with the engages. Some of the flanks that he's found, even domestically, have been fantastic, but just unfortunate there. And ADD does buy a little bit of time. And this is where I got a bit nervous again. We're kind of seeing the bloodlust starting to creep into some of these players, where that gives the opportunity for StarScreen to get caught. But again, Gavotto's in mid lane. He's not here for the turnaround. Doesn't want a killer instinct into this fight. And with HolyPhoenix still having access to the ultimate, he's heating up Istanbul Wildcats just enough to carry this fight through.
And then Gavotto trying to get away here, wants to escape, but it's pretty difficult to get away from Maokai. He'll still manage to do it just with the blast cone there. Super thankful for those plants. As StarScreen and ADD back to the split push situation down here in the bottom lane. But yeah, I really think that it's just so difficult to play into Maokai in general in these river fights, in these neutral objectives, because the reason nobody else could come with Jelly, the ulti was zoning you all away. You can't walk into that thing.
Yeah, and that's why, like, it's really good if Seiya is able to steal away. Like, Seiya has access to really good ultimates here, between the Maokai ult, between the Gnar as well. There's a ton of big ultimates that could be game-defining, but you need Seiya there with you. You need him to kind of help start off these fights. It's the 1, 2, 3 kind of combo between Grell, Jelly, and Seiya that is the go button for Isurus, but they just haven't quite been able to find the coordination on that front.
Well, they still have a lead. They're still up about 1,000 gold. They've still got a 1 Drake advantage, but their momentum is what has been suffering here with the Wildcats winning the last couple of fights. Baron is on the table, but their lead is not so commanding that I would expect them to try to start a 20-minute Baron anytime soon. Over on the side of the Wildcats, they're cool just waiting, letting this one scale up a little more, let Viktor get to the point where he's super scary. You've already got your second item done on HolyPhoenix, who, by the way, has 100% kill participation, as does Farfetch, as does Serin. Like, all of these guys are involved with everything, so that means, that tells me they're all fighting as a team all the time.
And again, I think that's the best way to try and do this is Istanbul Wildcats, right? Like that big wombo we kind of talked about with the Viktor, HolyPhoenix having that ultimate as well is going to be the difference maker, but you're going to have to start to indexing into stuff like Void Staff for Serin, because Seiya has already correctly identified, hey, I mean, the majority of the damage is going to be coming from Serin. Let me go towards a Banshee's Veil. Wouldn't be surprised to see things like Hex Drinker start to come out for ADD, Grell as well, even going for some of these more magic resist focused builds. This is how you can try and fight back against Istanbul Wildcats because of the way Nilah kind of operates in these fights.
Nilah can be scary if she can jump in, hit that multi-ulti with the Apotheosis. It has been described before on the internet as sort of a janky Diana ult. Yeah. So that's still a Diana ult, though. So that can combo really, really well, especially with Yuumi layered over top of it. Both teams have such a powerful potential to wombo combo. I'm really just looking for setup. I'm looking for who gets the angle, who gets the jump on the other squad.
Well, in a minute 30 until Dragon, looks like Istanbul Wildcats are going to try and crush in this wave to get down mid-turret. Isurus aren't really in a position to try and stop this right now. It's only Gavotto who's underneath the tower, but Grell!
Oh boy! Grell's ready to go after HolyPhoenix, who immediately gets himself right back away with a dash. They're gonna bring in StarScreen with a TP, and it's all 4 of the Wildcats here in mid lane, as Serin is still up there in the top side, dealing with Seiya. Both mid laners having their TPs ready to go. 22 minutes, 52 seconds into the game, Isurus gets their first turret with ADD picking it up bot side.
Good shout from Istanbul Wildcats not to panic on the Grell engage, especially with 50 seconds until the next dragon. They don't flash, they don't burn any of the summoner spells. It's just the ultimates that they use to get out of dodge. Actually, I suppose the heal from Farfetch was used, but it does mean that they'll still be able to fight relatively well at this next one, unless HolyPhoenix gets on the rough side of this.
I think he should be okay. The Herald will charge in, but it can't instantly kill the turret. They have to follow it up with the enchanted auto there from Grell's Q. That means that Isurus will get themselves their second turret of the game, and now they will have priority. They will have control over the river. ADD is going to go back to base. He'll recall. He has an unleashed teleport to join up if need be.
Seiya is trying to hover out of vision here. You can see swapped over to the sweeper, just clearing all the vision out and going to just sit in this mid lane. Because traditionally what you see is HolyPhoenix will push in mid, solo, and that's what Seiya wants to try and punish.
This is why it's so dangerous to put your control wards in the very edge of that brush, because you can see it did not detect the ward. But now Seiya with a stolen ulti, they're ready to go in as StarScreen tries to get away. The Wildcats again just pop jelly, but now they're in trouble. Serin's immediately killed in response as Grell finds the ulti the second time. HolyPhoenix and the rest of the Wildcats trying to get away, and they'll kite it out for now. 1-for-1 trade, mid laner for support.
And that's what we're talking about for Seiya, hiding in that brush, waiting for Istanbul Wildcats. He pounces as Ferret sneaks over the wall.
Oh, StarScreen's low, Ferret is low. Isurus Gaming are on the hunt.
Gnar?
He's still got it, but it's dangerous if you jump in there. All right, they're chilling for now. HolyPhoenix and Farfetch have full HP. They're ready to go. If they come around from the side, they might be able to make this fight happen. There is no Nilah ulti there for the extra control, though. Hit with the Infernal Chains. Not going to get yoinked back. HolyPhoenix is going to work to zone them away. Ferret does not have smite.
The TP will come through from Serin to get back here, so Istanbul Wildcats do it again. They just about... Oh, actually, hang on. Isurus are still trying to fight this.
There we go. Drake secured, but Isurus are ready to go. They finally engage, and they find it on the enemy AD carry. He gets away. Ferret and StarScreen now stuck in the pit. There's no way home for Maokai except a coffin.
And now there's no jungle for Istanbul Wildcats. Barrett is there. We're still going. The flowers. Oh!
Farfetch. He's gone too. Farfetch gone. Ferret gone. HolyPhoenix about to be gone. He'll barely escape. ADD staying alive, but it just baits in Serin. Now Seiya's gonna go after him. Grell getting it going. Everfrost locks up StarScreen. They're just about to get another one. Double kill back over to Seiya.
These are the longest fights I have ever seen. People are respawning in the middle of the fight and coming back again. Ferret now is going to be up for the Baron as Isurus will move over towards that objective. Ferret won't be here in time, I feel like, but should be fine. Isurus should be able to get this.
Yeah, I don't see any way that Ferret gets there in time. Maokai is just not fast enough as a champion. Baron secured off the back of a big dub for Isurus.
And again, you hear the crowd going nuts for the hometown heroes. Isurus very late coming back into this, but again, Jelly finds HolyPhoenix. HolyPhoenix didn't have the flash because he used it in that last scrap. Ferret will get onto Gavotto, which is buying a little bit of time on the backside, but everyone tossing themselves over the wall to continue fighting Istanbul Wildcats, and just a little bit unfortunate here, right? HolyPhoenix just gets clipped by the ultimate that Seiya had stolen away. StarScreen isn't really able to help because he's low, and Serin overextends again, thinking he might be able to finish off ADD, but it's all a bait as Grell gets in behind them too. So Isurus finding those moments to continue chasing down Istanbul Wildcats, and it's been so consistent that we see this.
Man, this is a messy game. Isurus have fumbled a couple of team fights earlier on, but then they end up getting this great counterpunch here. It brings them into the biggest lead this game has seen thus far. They've got 5K up. Team fight damage. There's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot in this one, Dagda.
Yeah, definitely when you look across at Isurus, right? Everyone kind of bearing the mantle. The AD carry's lacking a little bit, but it's kind of been the nature of the beast as ADD.
ADD trying to get himself out of the dive, coming out of HolyPhoenix with that Yuumi attached to him. Not enough damage to make it all happen just yet. Apotheosis pulls him back in. Maw of Malmortius is going to give him the shield, but ADD is still on the run. They have a tier 1 turret to seek safety beneath. This is one of the big advantages they got by preventing the Wildcats from getting any structures.
And now you get the tier 2 taken from Isurus. Gavotto has already been up here, and he's got a company as well, so overextension from Istanbul Wildcats, bloodthirsty for ADD, and it gives that opening for Isurus once more.
It looked really cool from HolyPhoenix going in there, right? Like, oh man, our AD carry's gonna run down your bruiser, the tables have turned, you're in trouble. Oh dang, wait, we forgot the turret. So it doesn't turn into a whole lot, you lose a T2. Wildcats feel like they're scrambling right now, just trying to make something happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this build, right? You're not actually getting a huge... Oh, hang on, HolyPhoenix.
HolyPhoenix. All right, he's good. He's chill.
As this game goes on, you're going to be seeing less and less damage coming out from HolyPhoenix because you're not going the cryptos, so your auto attacks aren't going to be doing as much. This is more of a kind of, hey, look, I'm going to have some good setup. Maybe I can have some decent burst damage, but it's not really going to carry fights.
It's an Aatrox cosplay build, right?
Yeah.
You're pretty much doing similar things to what he would like to do. As now, you're getting dove. It's a bad time. HolyPhoenix staying alive, just barely, somehow ready to go. Turn around. HolyPhoenix lives. StarScreen with a slam back into the wall, but it won't matter. Isurus is just beating him to death with the gold lead. Ferret killed next. Double kill back over to Gavotto. They're still looking for more. 3 versus 3, even fight.
Again, Isurus just take that step too far underneath the turret, though. Istanbul Wildcats will get a couple of kills back, and now the resets will come through for Dragon. Flashes are available for StarScreen. Serin just burnt his, so he will more than likely be the focus of this fight for Isurus. And on the opposite side, I mean, no flash on Grell, no flash on Seiya. Jelly as well going to struggle to get into these fights. It's going to come down to creative flank maneuvers from Isurus. But here, I mean, Seiya, he just goes in. He wants HolyPhoenix. He sees him take that step too far forward, and immediately Isurus goes. Ferret is in behind, which actually helps substantially here because it keeps Gavotto a little bit out of place as well. He actually gets locked up as he tries to go across with the killer instinct, and it means that they can't get access to people like Serin on the back line. StarScreen can buy a little bit of time, and then once more, Isurus goes that bit too far. Jelly can see the victory in his eyes, but it's not quite there.
It's not quite enough to dive a tier 3 turret, so they're going to get themselves back. They're still going to be in a nice spot. It's still a lead for Isurus by 6,500. The Drake is the target. The last 2 have gone the way of the Wildcats. Isurus really wants to control this one, but here comes the ulti. Ferret fires one out. Seiya fires one back. Now they're ready to go. It's Jelly and ADD in the back line, looking to scrap and make it happen. Meanwhile, HolyPhoenix fighting off the rest of the Wildcats, but ADD kills off Serin. Now the fight continues. ADD still fighting through him. Beautifully done. That's it. That's what they were looking for. Nilah won't survive any longer either. Ferret tries to get away. It's an ace. 4-0. Isurus Gaming takes the game.
You can see the happy parents in the crowd. You can see the happy faces in Mexico. Isurus will find their win here against the Istanbul Wildcats and will not find themselves going 0-5.
Isurus Gaming, they had one last shot to take a win, and take it they did. 31 minutes in, they will defeat the Wildcats and find their first win of Worlds 2022.
It was messy, it was scrappy, but it was Isurus winning the game, and you can see how much that means to everyone in the stadium there.
Yeah.
Great stuff for them to be able to pick up that needed win at home.
You love to see it, the signs in the audience, Gavotto, Gavotto. You know it means a lot to be able to do this, especially when you consider this is the first time that Worlds has been in North America since 2016. There's not a lot of international events going down around here. To have the chance to play in front of the home crowd on a stage of this caliber and at least be able to walk away with your heads held high, taking a win, that's worth a lot. Fighting for the pride there, getting the win for these